The theater plunged into hell when that gunman kicked open the side door, his rifle already barking death toward the front rows where my son Mason huddled with his friends, the bullets whizzing so close I could hear them slice the air, aimed right at kids like mine, like he'd been waiting to make an example of my family in that crowded Ohio cinema on what was supposed to be just another Friday night. Chaos swallowed the screams as people dove for cover. But in that frozen second, I, Grant Harlan, the Black Ops dad who'd sworn off the shadows for good, felt my concealed Glock press against my ribs, a silent promise that this nightmare wouldn't take my boy without a fight. Hit like, subscribe for more betrayal stories, and comment your city or country. Looking back, that night started like any other in our quiet suburban life. The kind I'd fought so hard to build after years of classified missions that left scars you couldn't see. Mason, my 15-year-old with that easy grin and dreams of becoming an engineer, had begged me to come along. "Dad, please? The new sci-fi movie. It's got those space battles you love." I couldn't say no, not when things at home with my wife Amelia felt like they were fraying at the edges. She'd begged off, claiming a late meeting at her job with the logistics firm downtown. "Go have fun with Mason," she'd said, her smile a bit too quick, eyes not quite meeting mine. Lately, her work had her staying out more, coming home with excuses that didn't quite add up. Phone calls she took in the other room, a new necklace I hadn't bought. I told myself it was just stress, the grind of mortgages and soccer practices, but a voice in my head, honed from ops gone south, whispered otherwise. We grabbed tickets at the multiplex, the lobby humming with families grabbing snacks, the air sticky with the smell of caramel corn and fresh pretzels. Mason loaded up on a giant soda and nachos, chattering about school drama, some girl he liked, tests coming up, while I paid, my mind half on the concealed carry under my jacket. I'd kept the habit after retiring, permit in my wallet, even though Amelia hated it. "You're home now, Grant. No more ghosts," she'd say, but I'd seen too much in the field to go unarmed, especially with a son to protect. We settled into seats midway back, not too crowded, the previews kicking off with bright lights and laughter from the crowd. The movie rolled, screen exploding with stars and chases, Mason leaning forward, hooked. That's when it shattered. The emergency exit at the side burst inward with a metallic screech, and in stormed Victor Kane, hoodie up, jeans stained like he'd been running, his AR-15 leveled like an extension of his arm. No mask, just raw hate in his eyes, mid-40s maybe, built like a man who'd lifted weights in anger. "Down, all of you," he bellowed, voice cracking the dark, and the first shot rang out, blasting the projection booth speaker, sparks flying. Panic hit like a wave. Seats flipped, a mom scooped her toddler, teens screaming as they clawed for aisles. I reacted on instinct, grabbing Mason's collar and yanking him low behind the row in front, my body over his. "Don't move, don't make a sound," I whispered, heart slamming, but my voice steady from years of training in worse spots than this. He nodded, eyes huge, cheese from nachos smeared on his cheek, whispering back, "Dad, is this real?" The air reeked of gunpowder now, sharp and metallic, mixing with spilled drinks. Victor didn't spray wild. He prowled, rifle sweeping methodically, firing controlled bursts, pop-pop, into the ceiling or walls to keep folks down. "You people think you can bury the truth? Families pay for what their men did." "What men?" My gut clenched. This wasn't some lone nut. His words had weight, like a grudge aimed sharp. He zeroed on the front, where a cluster of high schoolers, including Mason's pal Tristan, had been sitting. "Kids like you, your daddy's sins catch up," he snarled, advancing, barrel pointing right at their huddle. Mason shifted slightly, peeking, and Victor's gaze snapped our way, locking for a beat too long on our row. It felt personal, like he knew to look for us, for Mason's face in the dim light. Why? Our life seemed vanilla. Me doing freelance security consults, Amelia crunching numbers at her firm, Mason at school. But cracks had shown, her secretive smiles at texts, pulling away when I tried to hold her at night. Sirens howled distant, but no help yet. Exits jammed with shoving bodies, Victor blocking the main path. I slipped my hand under my jacket, fingers closing on the Glock's grip, safety off. Mason's breathing quickened beside me, his hand clutching mine. "He's coming closer," he breathed. And sure enough, Victor stepped into our aisle, kicking a dropped phone aside, muttering about corporate thieves and their shadows. Corporate? Flashes hit me. Old Black Ops jobs involving shady logistics deals, firms that profited off wars I helped end. Had that followed us home? A woman nearby sobbed, her husband whispering to stay calm, but Victor whirled, firing a warning shot that grazed a seat back. The crowd froze, breaths ragged. He scanned again, eyes narrowing on Mason's section. Our boy was marked. I felt it in my bones. No more waiting. I rose slow, Glock low and aimed, stepping into the light. "Put it down. Walk away." My tone was flat, authoritative, the one that stopped threats in dusty villages. He spun, surprise widening his eyes. Maybe he clocked my stance as military, not civilian panic. "You? You're one of them. The op scum who ruined lives for suits." The theater held its breath. Mason whispered, "Dad." But I held focus. Victor raised his rifle, finger whitening on the trigger, and in that heartbeat, I saw the calculation, kill or be killed. He lunged, weapon swinging wild toward me, and I fired twice, shoulder and leg, precise drops from training. He crumpled with a yell, rifle clattering across the sticky floor. Chaos reignited. People rushing him, phones out for cops, but I moved fast, securing the gun with my foot, then kneeling to check him. Alive, groaning, but done. "Stay down," I said, voice low. Police flooded in moments later, vests and shouts, cuffing Victor as he bled. Medics triaged the scene. A few grazed, no fatalities by grace, but the fear lingered like smoke. Detectives swarmed me first, eyes sharp on the Glock. "Permit," one barked. I handed it over, calm. "Ex-military." Had to act. They nodded, but questions piled. My background, why concealed? I kept it tight, Black Ops details classified, but mentioned Victor's rants about suits and shadows. Mason hugged me then, shaking. "You saved my life, Dad. He was looking for me, I swear." For him? Chills ran deep. Amelia's call came as we waited for clearance. "Grant? News is everywhere. Mason safe? I'm leaving work now." "Work at this hour?" The delay stung. At the ER for checks, Mason got the all clear, just shock and a scratch from debris. Amelia arrived in a rush, hair disheveled, throwing arms around Mason. "Oh, honey, I was so scared," she cried, voice breaking, but her hug for me felt stiff, eyes darting. "Grant, that gun, how?" I shrugged. "Instinct. He targeted the kids, our kid." She nodded too quick, pulling back. Lucky it ended okay. Home felt haunted by morning light, Mason crashing in his room. In the kitchen, Amelia poured coffee, hands trembling. "We should talk to someone, a counselor." I watched her, spotting the phone buzz on the counter, screen lighting with a text she snatched quick. "Yeah," I said. "But first, why'd it take so long to get here?" She froze, then smiled weakly. "Traffic. Work chaos." Lies hung thick. As I locked the Glock away, Victor's words echoed. "Families pay for sins." Sins like what? And as Amelia slipped to the bathroom, deleting something on her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, a dark suspicion bloomed. What secrets was she burying? And had they painted a target on our son's back? The house wrapped around us like a fragile cocoon those first days after the shooting, every creak of the floorboards reminding me how close we'd come to losing everything in that theater. Mason spent mornings glued to his room, gaming to drown out the nightmares, while I handled the calls from reporters sniffing around our door. Amelia played the perfect wife, cooking breakfasts and checking on him, but her touches felt rehearsed, her smiles not reaching her eyes. We'd always been solid, 17 years of raising Mason, navigating my deployments. But lately, the distance between us grew, like invisible walls going up brick by brick. One afternoon, a few days in, Mason and I sat in the living room, sunlight slanting through the windows onto the family photos lining the shelves. Us at the lake, holidays with grandparents, moments frozen before the cracks showed. He fiddled with a controller, pausing his game to look at me. "Dad, school called. They want me to talk to the counselor about, you know." His voice was small, the confidence from soccer fields gone. I nodded, sitting beside him. "Makes sense. It'll help." But inside, anger simmered, not at the school, but at the why of it all. Victor's face haunted me too, his targeted rage at those kids, at Mason. I pulled out my laptop, scrolling news updates while Mason headed to the kitchen for a snack. The headlines hit harder each time. Shooter Victor Kane, fired from logistics giant over Black Ops leak scandal. I clicked deeper, articles from years back surfacing. Kane had worked security for a firm tied to military contracts, the same kind my Black Ops team had infiltrated on ops, exposing corruption that funneled cash to shady ops. One piece quoted him, "Those shadow soldiers and their corporate bosses ruined me. Families will pay." Families. The word chilled me. My past was sealed, but leaks happened. Had someone connected the dots to us? Amelia's job was at a similar firm. Rival, maybe, but she never mentioned scandals. I closed the tab as Mason returned, munching an apple. "Anything new?" he asked. "Just noise." I lied, not wanting to load more on him. Amelia breezed in around 5, arms full of grocery bags, her hair tied back like she'd rushed from work. "Hey boys, made your favorite, lasagna for dinner." She pecked Mason's forehead, then mine, but her hand lingered on my shoulder a second too short. Dinner table talk stayed light. Mason's online classes, my plans to mow the lawn. But under it, tension hummed. Her phone buzzed twice during the meal. She silenced it quick, glancing at the screen. "Work," she muttered, but her fork scraped the plate louder. After, as we cleared dishes, I caught her in the hallway, phone to her ear, voice low. "No, not tonight. Things are complicated." She hung up when I approached, face flushed. "Everything okay?" I asked. She nodded. "Just a colleague. Stressful week." That night, with Mason in bed, we tried connecting on the couch, TV droning a mindless show. I draped an arm around her, pulling close. "Miss this," I said softly. She leaned in at first, head on my chest, but then pulled back. "Grant, I'm exhausted. The office is killing me. Late meetings, deadlines." Her words were familiar excuses, but tonight they rang hollow. I remembered the cold sheets beside me lately, the way she'd turn away in bed, claiming fatigue. "Talk to me, Amelia. We've been off. The shooting, it's brought stuff up." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "It's not that. Just life. We all have secrets we carry." Secrets. The word echoed Victor's rant, twisting my thoughts. Sleep came fitful, dreams mixing theater gunshots with old mission echoes. Around 3 a.m., her phone vibrated on the nightstand. I stirred, seeing her grab it, squinting at the glow. She typed quick, then set it down, rolling away. Curiosity gnawed. When her breathing evened, I reached over, passcode still her birthday. The Messages app opened to a thread with B, "Work, can't wait longer. Our future depends on it. Meet soon." Her reply, "Soon. But family comes first now, after the mess." Mess. I scrolled up, dates lining months, flirty tones hidden behind project talk. Blake, her coworker I'd met at parties, all smiles and handshakes. Emotional affair? Or more? Heart sinking. I locked the screen, slipping back, mind reeling. Morning brought forced normalcy. Amelia up early, coffee brewing as she dressed for work. "Big presentation today," she said, kissing Mason goodbye. He mumbled from the stairs, still sleepy. She turned to me, eyes evasive. "Love you." We'll talk later. I nodded, but as she left, I pulled up her email on my own device, synced accounts from years back, forgotten. There it was, chain with Blake at logisticsfirm.com. Protecting our future. The deal's risky, but worth it if we play smart. Fallout from last quarter could bury us, but together. Attached, docs on sensitive client lists, names that rang bells from my ops, firms I targeted. Her response, agreed. Keep it quiet. Family's my priority, but this changes everything. Changes everything. The pieces clicked, her late nights, the distance, now tied to corporate shadows Victor hated. Had she shared too much, our details, making us targets? Rage bubbled, but I swallowed it, quiet for Mason's sake. He came down, grabbing cereal. Mom gone already. I ruffled his hair. Yeah, but we're good, right? He smiled faint. Yeah, Dad. As he ate, I stared out the window at her empty driveway spot, the betrayal sinking deep. Victor's attack wasn't chance. It stemmed from cracks she'd widened, chasing our future with another man. And as the day stretched, one question burned. How much had Amelia's secrets cost us? And what would exposing them do to the family left standing? Mason's trauma started showing in small ways after the shooting, like how he'd flinch at loud noises or stare off during meals. But the real cracks in our family widened during his first counseling session a week later, where the therapist gently pulled out a memory he'd buried. Overhearing Amelia on the phone weeks before the theater attack, her voice sharp with worry about financial risks we can't ignore right now. He told me about it in the car on the way home, his words quiet but loaded, making me grip the steering wheel tighter as pieces of her secretive world started fitting together with Victor's corporate grudge. The session had gone okay, or so the counselor Kendra said when she stepped out to update me. Progress, but slow. Mason climbed into the passenger seat, seatbelt clicking, and let out a long breath. It wasn't too bad, Dad. We talked about feeling safe again. I nodded, starting the engine. Proud of you for going. Silence stretched for a block. Then he added, I told her about that phone call Mom had. The one before the movie night. She was yelling at someone. Something about money and risks. Sounded scared. His eyes stayed on the dashboard. Why would she be scared like that? I kept my tone even. Grown-up stuff, probably work pressure. Don't worry about it. But worry gnawed at me already, linking to the emails with Blake, the future they chased. Back home, the afternoon dragged. Mason retreated to his room for homework, door cracked, while I headed to the garage, my quiet spot, tools lined neat from old habits. I pulled out the metal lockbox from my Black Ops days, key turning with a click that echoed like a memory unlocking. Inside, faded mission logs, a secure USB drive with encrypted files from that 2020 op, the one where my team busted a logistics cartel smuggling tech under civilian fronts. I plugged it in, screen glowing as I entered the passcode. Reports scrolled, names of firms, payments traced to shadows I'd helped expose. Victor Kane's company was there, a subcontractor fired after the leak. His quote in a declassified note, these Black Ops ghosts and their corporate puppets stole everything. I'll make families feel the loss. The tie hit hard. My past, sealed away, had resurfaced through him, and now through Amelia's job. Her firm handled similar routes, rivals in the game. I shut it down as Mason called from inside. Dad, dinner? Amelia arrived right on cue, keys jingling, carrying a bag from the Italian place down the street. Pasta night, she announced, setting the table with forced cheer. Mason perked up a bit, but dinner felt strained, conversations circling school and weather while undercurrents pulled. Halfway through, Mason pushed his plate. Mom, how's work? You okay? She smiled quick. Fine, sweetie. Busy, that's all. But her fork twisted spaghetti too tight. After Mason cleared out to watch TV, Amelia and I lingered in the kitchen, dishes soaking. I leaned against the counter. Heard from his session. Mentioned a call you had. About risks. Her hands stilled in the suds, then resumed. Oh, probably nothing. Colleague pushing a deal. Money's tight with bills. Her voice stayed light, but eyes avoided mine. Tight enough to yell? I pressed gentle. She sighed, drying her hands. Grant, it's complicated. The firm has quotas, stress builds. Not something for Mason to worry over. I nodded, but the evasion stung, piling on the distance. Her side of the bed empty more nights, touches turning casual. That evening, with Mason absorbed in a show, I made a call from the porch. Old contact Colin, my former squad leader, voice gravelly from years of smokes. Harlan, long time. Theater mess, saw the reports. I cut straight. Victor's background. Linked to our op. He paused, then, peripheral. He guarded those shipments we hit. Lost his job, spiraled. Blamed ex-military like us for tipping the core. Why ask? Targeted Mason. And Amelia's firm, same world. Colin whistled low. Watch it. Leaks come from inside sometimes. Family, even. The warning landed heavy as I hung up, stars emerging overhead. Night deepened, house settling. Amelia knocked on the study door later, robe tied loose. Can't sleep? I looked up from fake work on the laptop. Thinking. She sat close, hand on my knee, warm, but tentative. About the shooting? Or us? Her eyes searched, vulnerable for a second. Both, I admitted. She leaned in, forehead to mine. We're okay, Grant. Just navigating this. The moment almost bridged us, but as she pulled back, her phone buzzed on the desk, screen lighting B. She snatched it, silencing quick. Work again. In bed later, her breathing evened fast, but mine raced, replaying Colin's words. Insider's leak. Next day, a plain envelope waited on the porch. No stamp, just our address typed. Heart sinking. I tore it open inside. Photos of our street. Mason's bus stop circled, a single sheet. Targets locked. Payback for shadows. No signature, but the paper smelled faintly of office ink, like her work prints. I tucked it away, dialing Detective Reyes. Another threat? He asked, voice efficient. Processing. Matches Victor's style. Could be accomplices. But his follow-up chilled. Check your circle. Grudges like this often start close. Afternoon sun hit, as Mason got home from a short school day, backpack heavy. Dad, the whispers stopped. But, feels weird. I pulled him into a hug. We're handling it. Dinner that night stayed surface. Amelia home on time, laughing at Mason's jokes. But when he mentioned the counselor's advice on trusting family, her smile faltered. Later, alone, I scanned the envelope's contents again. One page bore her firm's watermark, faint but there, listing asset watch with our zip code. Shared info? For Blake's deal? The betrayal layered, quiet grief mixing with resolve. As midnight neared, Amelia slipped into the study, finding me staring at the box. Grant. What's wrong? Her voice pleaded. I closed it slow. Old ghosts. She hugged me from behind, but I stiffened. Tell me. Soon, I said, turning away. In the dark bedroom, lying apart, the past shadows loomed larger. Victor's hate born from my ops, fed now by Amelia's risks, her calls, her distance. The envelope's warning wasn't empty. It traced her world, endangering Mason through secrets she guarded. And as sleep evaded, the question burned. Had her corporate ties invited this darkness? And how much more would our family fracture before the truth broke free? The tension at home thickened like fog after that envelope arrived. Every glance between Amelia and me carrying unspoken weight. But it was during a quiet evening walk with Mason that I decided to push. Asking her point blank about her late nights, her voice cracking with denial even as tears welled, hinting at the whispers of something deeper, a betrayal starting to surface from her world that tied straight to the shadows threatening our son. Mason had a half day at school the next week, so we took a walk around the block after lunch, the crisp air helping clear his head from the therapy homework Kendra assigned, journaling fears to make them smaller. I lagged behind a step, watching him kick a pebble ahead, his backpack slung loose. Feeling better today? I asked. He nodded. Yeah, less jumpy. But as we turned the corner, my phone buzzed. Another news ping about Victor's arraignment. His lawyer claiming corporate conspiracy in court. I pocketed it quick, not wanting to stir Mason. Back home, Amelia was already there, unusual for a weekday, stirring soup on the stove. Surprise early day, she said, smiling at Mason. Join us. Dinner felt almost normal, the three of us chatting about his soccer tryouts coming up, but her eyes met mine too often, searching. After Mason headed upstairs for a call with Tristan, Amelia and I cleared the table in silence. I couldn't hold it anymore. The envelope, the emails, her distance. Amelia, we need to talk. The late nights, it's been months. What's really going on? She set a plate down hard, water splashing. Grant, not this again. Work's demanding, that's it. Her voice rose, defensive. I stepped closer. More than work. The calls, the way you pull away. Mason even noticed. Tears brimmed then, spilling as she turned to the sink. It's nothing like that. I'm just overwhelmed. The bills, the shooting, it's piling up. But her hands shook, wiping her face. Overwhelmed enough to meet someone else. The words hung, and she whirled, eyes wide. No. How can you even think? Denial poured out, raw and pleading, but it rang hollow against what I'd seen. That night, with Mason asleep, I slipped into her office while she showered. Door unlocked for once. Desk drawer half open like carelessness. Inside, a small stack of notes, handwritten, folded tight. Can't wait to build that future. You're worth the risk, B. Blake. My stomach nodded. Perfume lingered on one. Faint jasmine, not her usual. I replaced them quick, heart racing, as the shower shut off. When she emerged in pajamas, towel drying her hair, I sat on the bed, waiting. Amelia, I found notes in your desk. From Blake. She froze in the doorway, color draining. You went through my things. Hurt flashed, but I pressed. They're not hiding well. What's this future you're building with him? Tears came again, sitting beside me. It's not what you think. Emotional support, work stress. Nothing physical. Her hand reached for mine, squeezing. I swear, Grant. We're solid. But solid felt cracked. Next morning, Mason off to school. I drove to a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground to think, away from the house's weight. Sipping black, I pulled up more on Blake. LinkedIn showed him as sales lead at her firm, posts about team wins, with her tagged, smiling close in one photo from a conference. Emotional? The note said more. Grief settled, quiet and heavy. Not rage, but the slow ache of trust eroding. Back home, a text from Colin, dug deeper. Victor's contacts include insiders from that op-watch Family Ties. Family Ties. It pointed to her, the logistics link. Afternoon brought Mason home early again, face drawn. Dad, I feel weird at school. Like everyone's staring. I sat him down in the living room, arm around his shoulders. It's the news, buddy. Fades soon. But he leaned in, voice low. And home feels off too. You and Mom argue more. Is it because of me? The shooting? The question pierced. No, son. Grown-up stuff. But you're safe. That's what matters. He nodded, but doubt lingered in his eyes, pulling at my resolve to shield him. Amelia got home late that day. Excuse of a client dinner, but her blouse untucked, faint mark on her neck like a brush from a hug. We ate quietly, Mason sensing the chill, excusing himself early. In the kitchen after, I tried again. The notes, Amelia, they're not just support. Talk to me. She sank into a chair, head in hands. Blake listens. Work's cutthroat. He gets it. But I love you, Grant. Our family. Her tears flowed, genuine hurt mixing with evasion. I knelt by her. Then end it. For us. She nodded, wiping her face. I will. Promise. The moment hung tender, her hand in mine, but as she stood to hug me, her phone buzzed in her purse. Ignored, but the vibration echoed the divide. Evening wore on, Mason joining us for a movie in the living room. Something light, comedies to laugh off the tension. He dozed midway, head on my lap. Amelia curled nearby, but not touching. As credits rolled, she whispered, "We'll get through this." I wanted to believe, but the drawer notes burned in memory, perfume's trace. Later, overhearing her in the bathroom on a call, door ajar, voice hushed. "Blake, I can't meet. Family first, but it'll be worth the wait after this mess." Mess, the shooting? Her denial from earlier rang false now, tying to Victor's world, her firm shadows. Night deepened, bet a battlefield of space between us. Sleep came fitful, dreams of ops blending with home, betrayal in the field mirroring her notes. Dawn broke with Mason's alarm, Amelia up first, coffee brewing. "Morning," she said soft, handing me a mug. But as she turned to Mason, promising pancakes, I spotted her purse open on the counter, another note peeking, unread. The whispers grew louder. Blake's pull, her risks, endangering Mason through corporate leaks. Grief twisted to resolve, quiet, for now. But as she kissed my cheek goodbye, heading to work, her words from the call echoed, "Worth the wait." Wait for what? And how much deeper did this betrayal run before it swallowed our son whole? The argument erupted that Friday night like a storm we'd both seen brewing, with Mason upstairs packing for a weekend sleepover at Tristan's house, leaving Amelia and me alone in the kitchen where I laid out the notes from her drawer on the table, her face crumpling as she admitted the emotional affair with Blake, but swore it ended there. No more contact, just a mistake born from work pressure that had pulled her away from us. Mason's backpack zipped shut echoed from the stairs as he bounded down, overnight bag in hand. "You sure about the sleepover, buddy?" I asked, forcing a smile despite the knot in my chest. He nodded eager. "Yeah, Dad. Tristan's parents are cool, movie marathon." Amelia hovered by the door, keys ready to drive him. "Be good, okay? Call if you need anything." Her hug for him lingered, eyes misty, but once the car pulled away, the house emptied of his presence, leaving us to face the silence. I waited until the taillights faded, then pulled the notes from my pocket, folded tight from the drawer, Blake's handwriting clear. "We talk now, Amelia. Really talk." She turned from the sink, dish towel twisting in her hands. "Grant, please, not tonight." But her voice cracked, eyes darting to the table as I spread them out. "Can't wait for our future. Risk worth it, B." The words hung between us, sharp as glass. "This isn't support," I said, voice low but steady. "This is betrayal." "How long?" Tears welled instant, spilling as she sank into a chair. "Months. Not physical, I swear. Just talks, lunches." Work was suffocating. He listened. Her hands covered her face. "I felt seen, Grant. But it's over. I told him last week." "Over?" The perfume on the paper said recent. Anger rose hot, but I kept it reined, quiet, like an ops, assess before strike. "Seen? What about me?" "Us." I paced the kitchen, memories flashing. Our wedding vows, Mason's birth, nights she'd waited for me through deployments. "This isn't just you hurting me. It's the family, the shooting, Victor's grudge. Your job ties to that world." She looked up, wiping tears. "What does that mean?" "The notes have nothing to do with everything." I cut in. "The emails about risks, your calls Mason heard. Blake's at your firm. Logistics, same as Victor's old haunt." Her eyes widened, denial flashing. "Coincidence?" I didn't know. The raise in voices pulled me short. Mason gone, but the house felt fragile. I sat across, elbows on table. "Admit it full. No more half-truths." Sobs shook her then, "Raw? Okay. We talked deals, big ones for promotions." He pushed boundaries, compliments turning personal. I leaned in, stupidly. "But no more, Grant. For you. For Mason." Her hand reached across, trembling. "Forgive." I pulled back slow. "Takes time. But end it clean. Block him. Tell HR if needed." She nodded fervent. "Done. Already did." The confession hung, a small bridge, but cracks remained. her tears real, yet the distance lingered in her averted gaze. Next morning, Mason's sleepover extended. Tristan's folks suggested a full weekend to give him normalcy. So Amelia and I navigated the empty house alone. In-laws called midday, her parents on speaker from Florida. Heard about the shooting. How's our boy? Her mom Clara asked, voice warm. Amelia forced cheer. He's great, Mom. Sleepover now. But Clara pressed. And you too? Marriage strong through this. Tension spiked. Amelia's grip whitened on the phone. Of course. Grant's my rock. After hanging, she turned to me, eyes pleading. See? Family matters. But the call stirred more. Her folks always nudged reconciliation, blind to our strains. Afternoon, I stepped out to meet an old contact. Preston, a veteran buddy turned PI, at a diner outside town. Coffee steamed between us as I slid photos from the envelope. Trace this, I said, and check Amelia's firm. Any links to Victor? Preston nodded, scanning. On it. But careful. Diving into core like hers stirs mud. Back home, Amelia waited with lunch, sandwiches, attempt at peace. Miss Mason? She asked soft. Yeah, I said, sitting. Conversation turned heavy, her admission weighing. I hurt you. Badly. I met her eyes. Yeah, but we're here. The moment almost mended, her hand covering mine. But my phone buzzed. Colin. Warning. Blake's pushing a deal tied to your old op insiders leaking family deets. Evening brought Mason home. Sun low, his stories of games and laughs filling the car. Dinner family style, but pressure showed. His grades slipping notice from school email, counselor note attached. Season math. Amelia said, for pausing. Mason shrugged. Hard to focus. Stress layered. The shooting shadow. Now home fights bleeding in. After bed, Amelia and I argued quiet in the hall. He's suffering because of this mess. You and Blake. She whispered back, tears fresh. I know. I'll fix work, talk to HR. But her phone lit then, ignored, name flashing, Blake. She silenced it quick, but the sight fueled the break. Sunday dawned tense, in-laws arriving unannounced. Clara and her husband Evan, suitcases for a surprise visit. Hugs in the foyer, but Clara's eyes sharp on us. You two look tired. Everything okay? Lunch stretched awkward, Mason excusing to his room midway. Clara cornered Amelia in the kitchen. Marriage advice, talk it out. We've seen strains before. Amelia nodded, but I heard the strain, pressure to glue what cracked. Evening drive to the airport for them, Clara pulling me aside. Protect your family, Grant. From outside and in. Her words echoed as they left. Alone again, resolve hardened. I called Preston. Anything? Early hits. Amelia's emails to Blake include client lists. Sensitive ones, like your op targets. Could have leaked to Victor's circle. The tie snapped tight. Her affair emotional, but actions risky, sharing details that targeted us. Grief hit deep that night. Amelia asleep beside me, her breathing even. Why? I whispered to the dark, but no answer came. Mason's stress, the in-laws' nudge, her admission, all pushed to breaking. Quiet revenge stirred, not confrontation yet, but truth's slow path. As sleep evaded, one ache lingered. Her betrayal, chasing Blake's promises, had fractured more than trust. It endangered Mason, and healing meant facing the full cost, no matter how it tore us further. Preston's report landed in my email that Monday morning like a grenade. Pages detailing Amelia's emails to Blake that weren't just flirty notes, but shared documents. Client lists and route maps from her firm that matched intel from my Black Ops op. Leaked info that could have reached Victor's ears, making our family's details a roadmap for his revenge. And as I confronted her in the living room with printouts in hand, her confession spilled that she'd handed over those files for a shot at promotion, never imagining it would circle back to endanger Mason. I stared at the screen in the kitchen, coffee going cold, while Mason shoveled cereal upstairs before school. The attachment from Preston opened slow, redacted scans of Amelia's work account, timestamps from months back. Asset protection protocols, one read, with addresses. Our suburb, even Mason's school district flagged as low-risk observation. Blake's replies. This seals the deal. Our future secure. Future. The word mocked now, tying her emotional slips to real damage. Victor's grudge against Cora like hers, fueled by leaks like these. Had she, unknowingly or not, painted the target on us? I printed key pages quiet, tucking them into a folder as Mason thumped down. Bye, Dad, love you. Door clicked shut, and the house emptied, leaving me with the weight. Amelia got home midday, flex hours her excuse, lunch bag in hand. I waited in the living room, folder on the coffee table, heart steady from training, but chest tight with hurt. Sit, I said, voice even. She did, confusion creasing her brow. What's this? I slid the printouts over. Your emails to Blake. Not just talks, files shared. Ones that match my old op. Color drained from her face as she flipped pages, hands shaking. Grant, how? A friend looked. For answers. Silence stretched, her eyes welling. It was for work. He needed data for a pitch. I thought it harmless. Promotions were on the line. Harmless? Our home's in there. Mason's school. Victor used similar intel for his hit list. Tears fell then, raw sobs as she clutched the papers. I didn't know. Blake said it was standard sharing. Team stuff. I was desperate, Grant. The job's everything. Stability for us. Desperate enough to betray? I knelt by her chair, voice soft but firm. This leak could have killed our son. She looked up, anguish twisting. Emotional affair. Yes, but the files? Mistake. I cut him off after your questions. But the dates said otherwise. Post-confession exchanges. Grief choked me. Not yelling. Just the slow unravel of trust. Why hide it? She wiped her face. Fear. Of losing you, the family. The admission hung, partial bridge in the wreckage. Afternoon blurred. Mason home from school. Backpack dropped, sensing the chill. Everything okay? He asked, eyeing us on the couch. Amelia forced a smile. Just talking, sweetie. I nodded. Homework. He vanished upstairs, leaving us to the quiet. What now? She whispered. Space, I said. I need to think. For Mason. She nodded, retreating to the kitchen, but her steps dragged, the fight's echo in every room. Evening dinner stayed surface. Pasta boiling, Mason chattering about a science project, but under it, tension simmered. He pushed peas around. You guys seem sad. Amelia reached for his hand. Just tired. Eat up. But his eyes flicked to me, worry young and sharp. Later, with Mason in bed, I called my lawyer friend Julian, veteran like me, handling family cases quiet. Over the line, his voice steady. Divorce papers? Heavy step. I explained the basics. Affair, leaks tying to the shooting. Evidence shows emotional abuse from the secrets. Enough for custody, lean your way. Custody. The word gutted. Imagining Mason split, holidays divided. Draft it, I said. But hold off serving. Quiet revenge. Truth first, not destruction. Hanging up. I sat in the study, grief layering. Amelia's desperation born from our strains, my absences, but her choices crossed lines, endangering all. Night wore on, Amelia knocking soft. Grant, can we talk more? I let her in, papers stacked. Sit. She did, eyes red-rimmed. I blocked Blake today full. An HR email sent about the sharing. Won't happen again. Her voice broke. I was weak. Forgive. I shook my head slow. Not yet. This hurt deep, trust gone. She leaned forward, hand hovering. For Mason. Therapy together. The plea tugged, but resolve held. Maybe. But secrets stop now. She nodded, leaving with a whisper. I love you still. Alone, I stared at the folder, leaks unraveling her lies, but the cost to our family mounted. Tuesday brought Mason's therapy follow-up, Kendra's office a neutral space. He went in alone this time, emerging with a drawing, stick figures of us, safe under a roof. "For you, Dad," he said in the car. "To feel better." Tears pricked his innocence amid our storm. Home. Amelia waited with groceries, attempt at normal. "How'd it go?" Mason shrugged. "Good. Drew family stuff." Dinner eased a fraction, laughs over his art, but as plates cleared, her phone stayed face down. Progress? Bedtime came, Mason hugging tight. "Night, Dad. Love Mom too." The words ached, pulling me to the hall where Amelia waited. "He's our glue," she said soft. I nodded, but distance remained, arm's length in bed. Midweek, Preston updated. Files traced to Blake's desk. He forwarded to unknowns, possible Victor link. The circle closed. Her shares, his greed, targeting us. I confronted her again, quiet in the garage. Blake sent them on. She paled. No, I trusted him. Trust. The irony burned. Lawyers involved now. For protection. Her face crumpled. Divorce. Considering. Mason first. She sobbed then, alone as I walked away, inner grief swelling. Betrayals unravel not vengeful, but honest, for healing's sake. As weekend neared, Mason's soccer practice loomed. Normalcy I pushed for. Field sidelines, him running drills, Amelia beside me, but space between. "We'll fix this," she murmured. But doubt whispered louder. The lies unraveled thread by thread. Her confession a start, but the mid-shadow loomed. A photo Mason found later that night, slipped from her purse. Amelia with Victor at a firm event months back, smiles forced but there. Why him? The question hung, pulling the family deeper into truth's grip, where quiet justice waited, not in anger, but in facing what her secrets had wrought. With the photo of Amelia and Victor burning a hole in my pocket, I slipped into a nondescript coffee shop across from her firm's tower that Tuesday afternoon, heart steady as I spotted Blake through the glass walls of their lobby meeting. His slick suit and easy laugh making my fists clench, but I waited until he stepped out for a smoke break, confronting him in the alley with quiet words that forced his confession about the leaks tying straight to the shooting, unraveling the corporate web that had nearly cost my son his life. The photo had surfaced the night before, Mason handing it over with wide eyes after finding it loose in Amelia's purse on the couch. "Dad? Mom knows that guy, the shooter." The image showed them at a company mixer 6 months back, her hand on his arm, smiles professional but close. Victor in a cheap tie, badge reading consultant. I tucked it away, hugging Mason tight. "Old work thing. Don't worry." But sleep evaded, the connection too direct. Her firm hiring Victor post-firing? Leaks flowing through him to Blake. Morning came tense. Amelia off early with a kiss that felt hollow. "Big meeting today," she said, avoiding my eyes. I nodded, but resolve hardened. Time to cut the web at its source. Preston's last update confirmed Blake's schedule, lunch meetings downtown. So I drove in, parking a block away. Glock left home, but senses sharp from old habits. The tower loomed, glass reflecting the gray sky, lobby buzzing with suits. I lingered in the coffee spot across, nursing black brew, watching through tinted windows. Blake emerged around noon, phone to ear, stepping into the alley for privacy. I followed casual, collar up against the chill. "Blake," I called low as he lit his cigarette. He spun, recognition flashing. "Me from parties, the hero dad," whispers. "Grant. Amelia's husband." "What?" I stepped close, voice even. "The leaks. Files you got from her." "Victor Kane." "Talk." His face paled, smoke curling forgotten. "I don't know what. Save it." I cut in, pulling the photo from my jacket. Amelia and Victor circled. "Your consultant, buddy. He targeted my son because of grudges you fed. Corporate payback for my ops bust." Blake's eyes darted, alley empty but tension thick. "Look, it was business." Amelia shared lists, standard collab. "Victor?" "He pitched security after his firing. We used him short-term." "If he twisted it." "Twisted?" "You forwarded to unknowns." Preston traced it. Sweat beaded on his brow. Okay, fine. One contact griped about Black Ops hits on deals. Victor overheard, went off. I cut ties when he ranted. Confession spilled then, voice dropping. Amelia didn't know the depth. It was for our pitch, promotion for her, stability. The affair's shadow loomed. You used her. Endangered my family. He nodded quick. Mistake. I'll statement it. Clear her. I held his gaze. Do it, or I go public. He agreed, crumbling. As I walked away, web fraying but not snapped. Home waited empty. Mason at after-school practice. Amelia still at work. I paced the kitchen, photo on the table, replaying Blake's words. Victor as insider. Leaks casual but deadly. Phone rang. Her, voice shaky. Grant. Coming home soon. Rough day. I kept calm. Drive safe. But grief mixed with anger. Not explosive, but deep. The betrayal's roots in her choices. She arrived an hour later, coat shedding rain, spotting the photo instant. Where'd you? Mason found it. With Victor. Explain. She sank to a chair, tears starting. Firm event. He was temp security, Blake introduced. Harmless chat. Harmless? Blake says Victor twisted your shares into his vendetta. Her sob broke then, head in hands. I didn't think. Blake pushed the files for a joint project. Victor scanned them for risks. I begged him to delete. Begged? The mid-twist hit. She'd known partial, ignored red flags for the affair's glow, the promotion's promise. You warned him off after my questions, but before? You let it slide, endangering Mason for what? Blake's attention. She looked up, anguish raw. Yes, I ignored. Stupid, selfish. For a future that wasn't real. Confession poured. Partial complicity. Turning a blind eye to Victor's edge, prioritizing her escape from our strains. Forgive? Please. I stood, voice steady. Not yet. This breaks us. She reached, but I stepped back. Custody hearing soon. Truth there. Evening brought Mason home muddy from practice. Grins fading at our faces. What happened? Amelia hugged him tight. Adult talk, sweetie. Dinner scraped by. Takeout burgers. Him sensing the rift. Questions bubbling. You guys fighting more? I ruffled his hair. Working through stuff. Eat. But under the table, tension coiled. Her glances pleading, my silence heavy. After bed, the call came. Julian the lawyer. Papers ready. Hearing set for next week. Family court. Judge Lila presiding. Focus on stability for Mason. Stability. The word mocked amid the web's tangle. Night fell. Amelia knocking on the study. Grant, Blake called. Says he'll testify the shares were minor. No intent. I looked up from notes. Too late. Judge needs full picture. She entered, sitting close. For Mason, don't destroy us. Her hand on mine, warm but trembling. You did that, ignoring warnings. Tears fell. I know. Therapy? Counseling. The plea tugged. Family mediation, perhaps. Maybe after hearing. She nodded, leaving quiet, but the air hummed with fracture. Wednesday's sun rose on prep. Julian outlining testimony. My steady home. Her instability from secrets. Mason's school report glowed, but therapy notes mentioned his anxiety spikes post-arguments. Afternoon, Blake's email arrived, statement drafted, admitting the forwards but blaming Victor solo. Partial truth. I forwarded to Julian. Use it. Evening family time strained. Movie night. Mason between us on the couch, but space yawned. He dozed midway, and Amelia whispered, I ended it all. Blocked. Resigned tomorrow. Resigned? For us. She nodded. Redemption start. Hope flickered, but the twist's weight pressed. Her complicity, partial but real, had let the web spin. As midnight neared, Judge's clerk called. Pre-hearing conference set. Tension peaked. Corporate ties exposed in Blake's web. Amelia's blind eye the core. Quiet resolve built. Not revenge's fire, but dignity's path. Truth for Mason's sake. In bed apart, Her soft cry broke the dark. I endangered him. How do we heal? No easy answer. But the web unraveled further, pulling us to climax's edge, where confrontations fall out would test if quiet justice could mend what betrayal wove. The courtroom's wooden benches creaked under the weight of our fractured family, as Judge Lila Harper called the session to order that crisp Thursday morning, her sharp gaze sweeping from me to Amelia across the aisle, the air thick with the scent of polished oak and tension, where my steady testimony about providing Mason a safe home clashed with the evidence of her secrets, forcing the truth of her partial complicity to surface under the lawyer's pointed questions, crumbling her defenses in a way that left no room for easy lies. We arrived early, Mason with my sister Fiona waiting outside in the hall, his school excused for the day, but the hearing shadow heavy on all. Julian met me at the steps, briefcase in hand. Stick to facts, your stability, her risks. Blake's statement helps. Amelia entered separate, eyes red from lack of sleep. Her own counsel a quiet woman named Tessa from legal aid. No hugs, just nods across the lobby. Judge Harper's chamber felt formal, her robes swishing as she took the bench, gavel light but firm. Custody preliminary. Harlan versus Harlan. State your cases. Julian rose first, voice clear. Mr. Harlan seeks primary custody, citing Mrs. Harlan's emotional instability and actions endangering the child via corporate leaks tied to a recent shooting threat. Testimony started with me on the stand, hands steady on the Bible, oath simple, words measured. I've provided a consistent home for Mason, coaching, therapy, protection. The theater incident showed my commitment. Judge Harper leaned forward. The shooting. Elaborate. I recounted the night, concealed Carrie's role, Victor's targeted rage. Investigations link it to my military past, and leaks from Mrs. Harlan's workplace. Murmurs rippled. Amelia shifted in her seat. Julian handed exhibits. Emails, the photo, Blake's affidavit. Mrs. Harlan shared sensitive files, ignoring warnings, prioritizing personal affairs over family safety. The judge's pen scratched notes, eyes narrowing. Amelia's turn came after lunch recess, the room stuffy despite fans whirring. Her lawyer Tessa stood. Mrs. Harlan admits mistakes but seeks joint custody. Her bond with Mason is strong. Amelia took the stand, voice trembling but composed. I love my son. The affair was emotional, ended. The files. Work error. I resigned last week. Judge Harper interjected. Error that endangered him? Explain. Tears welled. Blake pressured. I complied for job security. Victor was peripheral, no intent. But Julian cross-examined sharp. You knew his instability. Photo shows contact. Ignored it for promotion? She faltered, glancing at me. Partial yes. Blind to risks. Regret deep. The admission hung, her lies fracturing under evidence. Partial complicity laid bare. No hiding the web she'd helped spin. Mason waited outside, but the judge called a brief recess for his input via video. Kendra, the therapist, facilitating. Screen flickered on, his face small but brave. I want both parents. But home feels scary sometimes, with the fights. Judge nodded kind. Understood. Back in session, Blake appeared via video from his office, suit crisp but eyes evasive. I requested files, standard. Forwarded innocently. Victor twisted. I cut ties. Julian pressed. Innocent? Ties to grudge against Mr. Harlan's ops. Blake squirmed. Unintended. Statement full. The judge's expression hardened. Web exposed. His greed a thread pulling Amelia down. Afternoon dragged with character witnesses. My sister Fiona on my steady hand with Mason, Clara, Amelia's mom, defending her daughter's remorse but admitting strains. She's flawed, but loves him. Closing arguments sealed it. Julian on protection's need, Tessa on redemption's path. Judge Harper recessed for deliberation, gavel echoing. Hallway waits stretched endless. Amelia approaching hesitant. Grant, for Mason? I nodded curt. Truth served. Her hand brushed mine, brief, electric in the cold space. Mason joined then, Fiona's arm around him. How'd it go, he asked. Working it, I said, hugging tight. Deliberation ended by 4, court reconvening. Judge Harper's voice steady. Joint custody temporary, primary with Mr. Harlan pending stability proof. Mrs. Harlan, counseling mandatory, no work contact with involved parties. Child's safety paramount. Gavel fell. Amelia's sob quiet but real, eyes meeting mine across. Hurt, but the crumbling undercross left her exposed, defenses gone. Julian clapped my shoulder outside. Win for now? Focus heals. Mason hugged us both, confused but relieved. Together? Amelia nodded tearful. Trying, sweetie. Evening drive home silent at first, Mason in back dozing. Amelia broke it. I deserve that. The lies, over. I glanced over. Hearing showed truth. For him. Home unpacked the day, Mason to room for homework. Us in kitchen unpacking takeout. Tension eased a fraction, her resignation letter on counter. Submitted today. Small step. Bedtime stories for Mason turned routine, his laugh lightening the air. Alone later, Amelia sat beside me on the couch. What now? Mediation. I sighed. Yes. Quiet path. Her hand in mine. Tentative hold. The reckoning's weight settling into possible mend. But doubt lingered as night fell, judge's words echoing, safety paramount. The courtroom had stripped the veils, her complicity partial but pivotal, web's threads cut by testimony's blade. Quiet justice edged closer, not destruction, but dignity's demand for change. As sleep came separate, one resolve burned. Mason's world secured, betrayal's cost paid in truth, leaving space for what family might rebuild from the reckoning's ruins. In the weeks following the courtroom's gavel, I chose the path of quiet separation over fiery revenge, packing a small bag for the guest room down the hall, while Amelia tearfully agreed to the mediated schedule, her remorse growing tangible as the corporate scandal broke wide open in the news. Blake's career crumbling under investigations that exposed his role in the leaks, delivering a karma that felt like emotional justice without me lifting a finger, all while I poured my pain into mentoring Mason through his own healing, turning our fractured home into a space of slow, deliberate rebuilding. The judge's ruling echoed through our first mediated session 2 days after the hearing, held in a neutral community center conference room, with soft lighting and neutral beige walls that did little to ease the strain. Mediator Harper, no relation to the judge, but her name still twisted the knife, sat at the head, notebooks open. Joint custody with primary to Mr. Harlan. Mrs. Harlan's therapy mandatory. Visitation schedule, alternate weeks, shared holidays. Amelia nodded across the table, eyes downcast. Her lawyer Tessa silent beside her. Julian glanced at me. Agreed. Focus on Mason's stability. I signed the papers steady, the ink dry fast, but the weight settled deep. Separation official, but house still shared for now. Guest room my new domain. Mason took it harder than expected that evening, spotting my bag in the hall as he came home from soccer. Dad, you moving out? His voice cracked, backpack slipping to the floor. I knelt, pulling him close. Not far, just space for Mom and me to figure things. You stay with me most, okay? He nodded against my shoulder, but tears wet my shirt. The fighting, because of the shooting? Partial truth, partly. But we're fixing it, for you. Amelia hovered in the doorway, face pale. Sweetie, dinner's ready. We talk more after. The meal dragged. Pasta she'd made from scratch. Attempt at normal, but forks scraped louder. Conversation circling weather and school. Mason pushed food around. I miss us normal. His words hung, pulling at both of us. Night brought the first wave of scandal news, my phone buzzing with alerts as Amelia and I cleaned up. Breaking, logistics firm exec indicted for data leaks tied to shooting suspect. Blake's face flashed on screen, Mugshot fresh. Headlines screaming embezzlement. Insider trading. The files he'd forwarded now central to probes. Victor's grudge? Fuel for federal heat. Core crumbling under scrutiny. Amelia gasped, sinking to a chair. Blake arrested? I set the phone down. Karma. Your shares started it. Her eyes met mine, remorse raw. I enabled. Resigned, but too late. No gloating, quiet satisfaction. The web he'd spun tangling him without my push. Focus forward, I said. Therapy starts tomorrow. For you. For us co-parenting. Her first session came midweek. Kendra's office again, but adult-focused now. She returned quieter, handing Mason a drawing she'd made. Our family as puzzle pieces fitting slow. For you, buddy. We're working on the picture. He smiled faint, taping it to his wall. Evenings shifted. I mentored him through math homework in the dining room. Old Black Ops discipline turning fractions into games, his grades climbing from C's to B's. You're good at this, Dad, he said one night, pencil pausing. Like teaching me to be strong. I ruffled his hair. You already are. Shooting showed that. Bonding moments like these mended cracks, my pain channeled into his growth. Quiet revenge not against her, but building legacy through him. Mediation dragged into second session, air thicker with details. Holiday splits, school pickups. Amelia arrived composed, therapy notes in hand. Progress, Harper noted. Mrs. Harlan's remorse documented. Tessa added. She's clean. No Blake contact. Job hunt in non-corp fields. Amelia spoke then, voice steady. I hurt them. Therapy helps see my selfishness. The affair escape. Ignoring risks for validation. Judge Harper. Wait. Mediator. Nodded. Accountability key. My turn. Primary for stability. Mason thrives with routine. My coaching, therapy support. Julian presented updates. Mason's improved reports. My clean background. Agreement edged closer. Her weekends, my weeks, shared decisions. Scandal rippled wider that week. News crews at her old firm's gates. Blake's plea deal leaking. Full confession on forwards, naming consultants like Victor. He knew the grudge, headlines read. Amelia watched from the couch one night, Mason asleep upstairs. Karma hit hard. I sat across, arms folded. You chose blind. But ending it, step right. Her eyes welled. Resignation final. New path. Retail maybe, steady hours. Remorse grew, actions backing words. She cooked family meals on her nights, read bedtime stories without prompt. Tension eased fractionally, but guest room stayed mine. Space for healing, not rush. Mason's growth became my anchor. Soccer practice Saturdays. Me on sidelines yelling encouragement. Him scoring his first goal post shooting. For you, Dad, he yelled, teammates cheering. Home after, Amelia joined for ice cream run, tentative trio. Proud of you, she told him, but her glance my way held apology. Evening talks deepened. Her therapy revelations shared in mediation notes. Affair as symptom of our drift, my absences, her isolation. I should have talked sooner, she admitted one night over tea, Mason in bed. Instead, Blake's flattery. I nodded, hurt deep, but Mason first. Quiet justice unfolded, not punishment, but her career fall, Blake's ruin, forcing change without my vengeance. By month's end, mediation finalized. Joint legal, primary physical me, her improving access. Judge Harper's oversight letter arrived. Positive steps noted. Monitor 6 months. Celebration small. Pizza night, Mason's choice. Laughter echoed for first time in weeks. His jokes landing. Amelia's smiles genuine. We're like a team again, he said, sauce on chin. Bedtime hug from both, his room light on longer. Alone in guest room, I reflected. Pain channeled to mentorship. Mason's resilience blooming under guidance. Science fair project we built together, his presentation confident. You taught me focus, he said after winning second place. Amelia's growth showed too. Therapy weekly. Job at local bookstore landed. hours flexible. One evening, she knocked on my door, now semi-permanent. Can we talk? No pressure. I let her in, chairs by window. Remorse real, she said. Corporate scandal, Blake's fault exposed mine. Karma for us both. I listened, walls thinning. Quiet path works. For him. Handshake turned to brief hug. Awkward, but bridge. Scandals fallout continued. Firms sued. Victor's trial linking leaks. Her name cleared but tainted. Blake's plea. Prison time. Justice silent. Earned through truth's slow grind. As fall deepened, family mediation with judge oversight loomed. Final check-in. Prep involved Mason's input. His words to Harper via video. Dad's my rock. Mom's trying, love her. Hearing brief, judge satisfied. Healing evident. Custody holds, but flexibility encouraged. Gavel light, relief washed. Drive home, Mason chattered excited. We did it. Amelia's eyes met mine in rear view. Gratitude, hint of hope. Home unpacked, victory small. Game night, his laughs filling space. My mentorship peaked, teaching him basic self-defense, not for fear, but empowerment. Like your ops stories, he said, practicing stances. Strong inside. Night closed with Amelia on porch, me joining unprompted. Quiet justice, she murmured. Pain's teacher. I nodded. Legacy for Mason. That's revenge enough. Remorse solidified her change. Volunteering at his school, bonds mending slow. Scandal's karma sealed the web. Her world shrunk, but honest. As stars wheeled, flow held. Engagement in healing's rhythm. No breaks, full hearts turning toward possible whole. But as sleep beckoned, final twist shadow whispered. Mason's secret recordings, hidden for protection, waited to surface. His young hand in justice, strengthening our legacy beyond words. The scars from that theater night had faded into faint lines on our lives by the time spring bloomed fully, but it was during a quiet backyard barbecue we threw for Mason's 16th birthday. Friends laughing around the grill, the scent of burgers and fresh-cut grass filling the air, that the final twist unfolded when Mason pulled me aside with his phone in hand, revealing secret recordings he'd made of Amelia's confessions to protect me. His young courage delivering the emotional justice that sealed our healing and turned our broken family into an unbreakable legacy of truth and quiet strength. The months since the courtroom had woven a new rhythm into our days, steady and deliberate, without the dramatic jumps that time often skips over in stories like ours. Instead, it was the small, everyday shifts that rebuilt us. Amelia's consistent therapy sessions every Tuesday, where she'd emerge with a journal entry to share over coffee, her words no longer guarded but open about the regrets that had once pulled her toward Blake's empty promises. I see now how my choices rippled, she'd say softly one evening in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner while Mason studied nearby. Her new job at the bookstore suited her, shelving novels in a quiet corner, recommending thrillers to customers with a genuine smile that reached her eyes for the first time in years. No more corporate towers, no more high-stakes deals, just steady hours that let her be home for Mason's soccer games, cheering from the bleachers with a thermos of hot chocolate, her presence a quiet anchor. Mason thrived in the structure, his confidence blooming like the tulips Amelia planted along the fence that spring. I'd taken him under my wing more than ever, turning our evenings into mentorship moments, teaching him not just math or self-defense basics from my Black Ops days, but the deeper lessons of resilience and trust. Life throws shadows, I'd tell him during our garage workouts, spotting his push-ups. But you choose the light. He'd grin, sweat beading, and push harder, his grade steady A's now, friends filling the house on weekends. The shooting's trauma lingered in nightmares sometimes, but therapy with Kendra had turned them into stories he shared, not fears that owned him. You're my hero, Dad, he'd say after a tough practice, fist bumping me. Those words healed more than any court ruling. My pain from the betrayal channeled into his growth, a legacy I built with every encouragement. Amelia's remorse wasn't performative. It showed in actions that mended the fractures step by step. She'd volunteer at his school events, organizing book drives that blended her new world with his. And on her visitation nights, she'd cook his favorites, lasagna layered with extra cheese, the kitchen filling with warmth that chased away old chills. We'd co-parent seamlessly, decisions on college visits or car privileges hashed out over mediated calls that grew shorter, less formal. Julian, my lawyer, had closed the case file months back, a simple email, stable ground achieved. But the corporate fallout lingered as its own quiet justice. Blake's trial wrapping with a guilty plea, prison bars closing on the man whose greed had spun the web. News clips showed the firm shuttered, executives scattering, Victor's rampage framed as the tragic endpoint of leaks like the ones Amelia had shared. She'd watch them alone sometimes, tears silent, then turn to me with a nod. Karma found its way. I own my part. Our family mediation with Judge Harper's oversight became a routine check-in every quarter, her office now familiar, the sessions turning from tense standoffs to collaborative plans. Mason attended the last one in person, his voice steady on video before, but live now. Things are better. Mom and Dad talk without yelling. I feel safe. Judge Harper smiled faint, her gavel symbolic. Progress evident. Custody holds, but consider full joint as stability continues. Amelia's eyes met mine across the table, gratitude mixed with the ache of what we'd lost. Driving home that day, Mason in the back chattering about a school trip, she reached over the console. We're doing this, for him. I squeezed her hand brief, the touch electric, but healing, no rush to define more. The birthday barbecue marked a turning point, the backyard alive with Mason's teammates tossing a football, laughter echoing off the fence. I'd fired up the grill early, burgers sizzling, Amelia arranging sides on picnic tables, potato salad her specialty, a recipe from her mom Clara, who couldn't make it but sent a card with cash tucked inside. Friends piled in. Tristan with his parents, a few neighbors who'd followed our story through whispers. Mason darted between groups, king of the day, his new bike helmet for me propped nearby. Best party ever, Dad, he yelled, catching a pass. Amelia caught my eye from the patio, apron dusted with flour from baking his cake. He's happy. I nodded. We all are. As the sun dipped low, casting golden light over the yard, Mason pulled me aside to the garage, phone clutched tight. Dad, before cake, something I need to show you. His face serious, older than 16. We sat on the workbench, tools scattered from our last project, a birdhouse he'd built for the yard. He unlocked his screen, audio files queued. After the hearing, I recorded Mom, when she thought I was asleep. To protect you. My heart stuttered. The final twist, his secret hand in our justice. First clip, Amelia on the phone, voice hushed in her room months back. Blake, I can't anymore. The leaks, if Grant finds out, it destroys us. Victor's involved? End it. Click. Another, her confession to a friend, post-resignation. I ignored the warnings, for a promotion, for feeling wanted. Nearly lost my son. Tears in her voice, raw regret. Mason's recordings, time-stamped, clear, captured the partial complicity she'd admitted, but his motive pure, safeguarding our bond. Why now? I asked, voice thick. He shrugged, eyes steady. You taught me truth matters. Thought it'd help the judge, or heal us full. Courage swelled pride in me. His twist not vengeful, but protective, emotional justice from the heart of our family. Smart, son. But this stays ours for now. We hugged fierce, the yard's cheers filtering in. Cake time called us back, candles flickering as Mason blew them out. Wish unspoken, but clear. Amelia cut slices, her smile bright, unaware yet. But later that night, after guests left, we'd share it together, the full truth binding us closer. The evening wound down with stars emerging, Cleanup casual. Mason helping stack chairs. Amelia wiping tables. Good day, she said soft, glancing at me. Yeah. In the kitchen, with him upstairs unwrapping last gifts, Mason pulled her aside too. His choice to reveal, voice calm. Mom, I recorded to help. Her face paled, then softened to tears. My brave boy. No anger, just embrace. The twist closing the circle, her complicity owned fully, karma's last thread tied by love. We sat then as a trio, no walls, talking open. The leaks, the pain, the path forward. Forgiveness for Mason, she said. I nodded. And us slow. As summer whispered promises, our legacy solidified, not in grand gestures, but daily truths. Barbecues turning annual, mentorship evolving to college talks, Amelia's bookstore story hours for Mason's friends. The shooting's shadow lifted, betrayal's wound scarred strong. Quiet justice prevailed, Blake's fall, Victor's trial ending in life sentence, but our win in healing's quiet power. Mason's recordings filed away, a symbol of his strength, our family's enduring bond. And as the stars shone that night, a high emotional question lingers in the quiet after the storm. What unbreakable legacy will you build from your own hidden pains, turning betrayal into the strength that holds your loved ones close? If this story touched you, please drop a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from today, your city or country, so we can feel connected across the miles. Your likes and subscribes mean the world. They help bring more tales like this to life. Join our community for the next thriller or epic revenge story. Stay tuned and keep those thoughts safe until we meet again. What kinds of stories do you love most? Share in the comments. Betrayal dramas, family healings, quiet justice wins, or something fresh. Let me know, and I'll craft the next one just for you.